Hello and welcome back to Assetto Corsa and to the Nordschleife Challenge Redux Edition. Why Redux, you may ask? Well, all the cars on this are going to be cars that have already been on the challenge. Last time out we did have the Ferrari. We had the Fiat 500 on the Redux edition. The last video was a Ferrari 288 GTO, but the last Redux video was the Fiat 500 Abarth, which was the first car on the challenge. This here today is going to be the second car that I ever took on this challenge. Or was it the KTM I took second? This was the second car that is in the rankings on the challenge. This is the Alfa Romeo MiTo QV. Now, these Redux videos will be working a little bit differently from the normal challenge video in that you are only going to see my fastest lap, and I'll be commentating on it after I've driven. I'm also going to put up the video of my fastest lap from the previous attempt in the top left so that you will be able to compare it live. And the fastest lap I've done on here will be after a bunch of practice laps, depending on how much time I have and how much more I can eke out the car. And if you want to see those practice laps, they are going to be available on Patreon. Aside from that, everything else is going to be the same. Same weather conditions, as usual, no traction control, car will be on street tyres, but there is going to be one difference. ABS is now enabled as per a decision made in episode 32. Now, to give you a reminder of the specifications for this Alfa Romeo, this has a turbocharged inline-4 front-mounted engine producing 168 brake horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 184 pound-feet of torque at 2,500 RPM, which is about 250 Newton meters. Excuse me. Drive is delivered through a manual gearbox, which I believe has 6 gears to the front wheel, so a front wheel drive vehicle. 0-60 on this car is 7.3 seconds, so a little bit faster than the 500 at 7.7, with a top speed of 136 miles per hour or 219 kilometers per hour. This car has a mass of 1,220 kilograms or 2690 pounds. And finally, the tyres on the car are 215/45 R17s, both front and rear. Up on screen now is the current lap time of the car, which was set during the first attempt. This is a 9 minutes 2.561, so that was ahead of the, at the time it was ahead of the Ferrari, again I keep saying Ferrari, Fiat 500 Abarth. Now it is behind, so currently it is in last place. In terms of the driver ranking, this car was dead last. I'm not going to show that up on screen. The question is, can this car manage to make it up just like the Fiat 500 did and get itself under the 9 minutes mark? Now, from what I remember of this car, I did not like it, hence why its driver ranking is at the bottom of the list. But that being said, if I've managed to get, what was it, 6-7 seconds out of the Fiat 500 Abarth, surely I can get about 6 or 7 seconds out of this Alfa Romeo. I suppose there's only one way to find out, but leave your thoughts in the comments box below before we begin. So what do you think I'm going to get? Is this car going to go below the 9 minute mark? And if so, how far below the 9 minute mark is it going to go? What I am going to point out though is that with this car being a front wheel drive and having a little bit more power, I am expecting more understeer. If I remember correctly, there was more understeer in this car, which is why I didn't rank it as highly as the Abarth. I think the Abarth just seemed a little bit more interesting to drive. It was, you could get a really nice lift off oversteer, which was something that this car could not get, which was a kind of a pain. But aside from that, I guess there's nothing else that's left to say. That's all the information out of the way, so roll the intro and let's see exactly what I can do with this second attempt in the Alfa Romeo MiTo QV. Okay, going through turn 1 at the moment. Now, one thing I am going to say about this is that I think that I had another 0.6 of a second in this lap, and I will show you why and where it went wrong. It went wrong twice, once on a practice lap, once here in the exact same spot, or once in this actual lap in the exact same spot. After this lap, I did do a few more laps, but I could not recreate some of the smoothness that I had in sectors, well, this sector here, and also a section later on. I just could not recreate it. I just had a really good lap here, and if it wasn't for what happens, and I'll point it out, this lap would have been a little bit better. I think 5 to 6 tenths better than it was. As you can see already, I've gained a fair amount of time here, not looking at the delta, but just looking at the little Alfa Romeo and this Alfa Romeo, because I just was able to carry a lot more speed into some of these corners. Now, I wasn't terrible on the previous attempt, so it wasn't like I was doing really badly. It was just that in this attempt I felt like I could carry a lot more speed, and I think that is partly to do with the fact that I did more laps, but also to do with the fact that my Fanatec kit is allowing me to push a little bit harder and feel the bumps in the road a little bit better. So I think this in a way is definitive proof that an upgraded wheel, and my set is still classed, I believe, as mid-range. Just going from a beginner wheel to mid-range does actually help. A little bit of buzzing off the limiter there, not ideal, but it was probably better than I had done in many other laps. This section I did better, I believe, 2 laps previously, but not by much. Again, a bit of the slow in, fast out on this, where I gained, I think all the time I lost, I gained on the exit. Over here, one of the things, again, but bouncing off the limiter, one of the things here that I found was I wish that 4th gear was just a little bit longer, slightly off the apex on this one. And here, again, I wish maybe 3rd gear was a bit taller, just so that I could rev it out a little bit more and not have to jump up a gear. Curbs, touching the curbs here was a little bit of an issue. I was trying my best not to touch the curbs, but unfortunately there were a few occasions where I did. Over here as well, I think I got this fairly nicely done. I'm surprised, in some of the practice laps things go a little bit awry there, should I say. This again, that touch there, that has lost me a little bit of time. As you can see, it is going negative on the delta, though we're not really looking at the delta. That does show a little bit of what I was losing. And here I actually heard the ABS kick in. That's one of the only points I actually heard the ABS kick in. This is where it goes wrong. So I go shift into 4th, and you see it bounce straight out of 4th, and I do not know why. I think I need to recalibrate my 4th gear. So it went into 4th and then jumped straight out. That happened twice for some strange reason in the exact same spot. You can see I've lost 0.4 of a second there. Now, this is where I say overall I think there was 0.6 of a second that I could have improved on. You'll see at the end why I've released this video. I was contemplating going again on a completely different day and seeing what I can do, but given that it's been a while since I've released an Assetto Corsa Nordschleife challenge video and the time limits that I was having, I thought, to be honest, it's probably better if I just release this video and explain right at the end why I've released it, even with that supposed loss of 0.6. I learnt here that all I've got to do is shift down to 4th, and right near the red line of 4th we are good for this section. I tried previously in 5th and it just didn't work, and 5th was sort of bogging down a lot more, so I needed that power up the hill to get the car going and keeping it around the 98-99 mile an hour limit. That corner, I tried a few different lines. You can see the line I tried today was different to the line I tried, or in this video, different to the line I tried in the previous video. And here I lost a little bit. There was definitely more in that. I think I actually did that better in the previous video. So I lost a little amount there. But again, at this point I should be at least 4.5 tenths up, which is that part that I've missed. So coming up 5 tenths up. You can see there now I'm actually below my delta of the previous lap, but I'm not going to tell you what the previous lap was. This section though, I think I did this section quite decently, and this is the section that, along with the first section, I couldn't quite get right. Again, this section here, as you can see, 0.2 of a second. Yes, I'm slightly down there, and then back up 0.27, 0.28. Little bit on the grass, lost 500ths, but then here, look at that jump. And that was something I was not able to recreate. I just managed to get this sort of right in this one. The other ones, I'm just slightly too fast, or slightly too slow, or slightly too wide, and it just was not working out exactly as I wanted it to be. Again, I was hoping that third would be taller. I feel like these complaints are the same complaints that I had on the first attempt. So way back, whenever was it, last year, I did this, and the first attempt, or 2020 really, towards the end of 2020, and I said the same sort of thing. I wish third gear was taller in this, and fourth gear, they're just not suited for this track, unfortunately. But you can see how much time I've gained over the previous lap. I've already gone through this S section here, and on the other one, I'm coming into it now. That's how much time I've gained over this lap. It is a lot. This one here, again, I had a couple of bites on the steering wheel. It wanted to understeer. That was that understeer that I was talking about at the start of the video. It really did want to understeer, but I found that, again, I managed to hold off on this lap better than I had on the other. So at this point, it's showing 0.25 of a second up. Really, it should have been, if I didn't have that fourth gear problem, this should have been 0.65 of a second up. Now 0.7 of a second, 0.75. But sometimes that happens. You have a little mishap, and unfortunately I just could not get this car doing what I wanted to do for the next set of laps that I did try. So this was set on my 8th lap. I think I did 12 laps in total. The next 4 just did not. I was close. I almost matched this lap time identically, but I could not get that section, a couple of sections right the way I did on this lap, leading me to get this lap time, which means I was pretty close to the limit of what I could do. Maybe if I did 25 laps, I could have done a lap time where I'm thinking it could be, which I'm about to tell you in a moment. So you'll see that at the end of this, I'm just going to go for it still, because in this I am still going. 8:54.79. It's actually an 8 minutes 54.799. That's pretty annoying for the Fiat 500 Abarth, which did an 8:56.764. So up on your screen, you will see that the Alfa Romeo has gone back up 1 spot, kicking the Fiat 500 Abarth back to the bottom. Now, as I said, I think that this car could have gone just a little bit faster. The thing is that if I were to show you another page of this, so if we go back to this page has the Mazda MX-5 ND, and that car has an 8 minutes 53.795. If I had got this MiTo perfectly right, I would have probably beaten that time. Not with the lap I did with the 4th gear mistake, that would have still been in the 54s. But had I got this perfectly right, I think I could have beaten that time. So why didn't I keep going? Well, if I'm improving with these two cars, I've improved by 6 seconds, something like that. So what was the Mito's initial time? 9:02. So 9:02.5 to an 8:54.8. So yes, roughly I've improved by 6 seconds on the 7 seconds. So thinking about it, I'm probably going to improve on the Mazda by a similar amount, meaning that there's no point me pushing this further unless another car comes in that is somewhere in that range. I don't think there's any point me taking another run at this car. It's beat the 500, which was its competition. It's not going to be able to stand up to the Mazda. I really do not think it's going to be able to stand up to the Mazda. And in terms of driver ranking, where do I put this? Well, this was in dead last, and ahead of it was the Porsche Macan Turbo, which I really did not like, the Audi Sport Quattro, which I should like, but for some reason in Assetto Corsa, whether it was my wheel or what, it just felt way too floaty, understeery, just no real grip on it. And then the Fiat 500 Abarth. I do not see this moving anywhere. Again, like the Fiat, I think this is going to stay exactly where it is, in dead last. So, 31st place. It's moved up 1 from the Fiat that took it away from it a few weeks ago, and it stays dead last in the driver rankings. Do you agree with that driver ranking? And what do you think I could have done? Do you think I could have got into the 53s? Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa, the Nordschleife Challenge, and other driving sims and driving things that I'm going to be doing, games or whatever, that I'm going to be doing over the course of this year. I have a few things lined up. It's just a matter of me getting around to actually doing them. If you can do so, please do consider supporting me on Patreon at www.patreon.com/ECGadget. Your support would be massively appreciated. It would really help me out, and you get to see not only the practice laps from this, which is without commentary, but a whole bunch of practice laps for other cars, other videos, the whole Nordschleife challenge with commentary. A lot of them have commentary because they're not Redux ones. And also many other videos, many other outtakes and bloopers and things like that for other titles. Also, as you just saw on screen, you can find me on social media at ECGadgetLP for both Twitter and Instagram. That is all from me. As you can see, I am pushing it. I am 0.7 of a second, 0.2 of a second up. That will actually disappear very soon. And I'll see you next time in Assetto Corsa with another Nordschleife challenge, this time not a Redux. I've got a bunch of other cars lined up. I think next time I might, if not in the next video, in the next few videos, I do have the M3, the more modern M3. I say more modern in Assetto Corsa. Let's see how that compares to the old M3. It's going to be a lot faster. Can it beat the M4 though? That is probably the big question.